Buy a subscription to The Athletic this December and gift one absolutely free. See the link in the description for more information. Chelsea spent a lot of money over the summer.
A lot of money. The bill for Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, Ben Chilwell, Hakim Ziyech, Malang Sarr, Thiago Silva and Edouard Mendy was around £220 million.
Which is a lot to pay when there's no matchday income and the game's general financial health is so precarious.
So this is going to be about financial fair play.
This is going to be about financial fair play, yes. Because Chelsea spent as much money as Manchester United, Liverpool and Arsenal combined. They were only one of 3 clubs to spend in excess of £100 million, and they were the only one to break £200 million.
Yeah, but this isn't a normal FFP period, and here's The Athletic's Matt Slater to explain how and why.
Obviously, we're going through very unusual times when clubs across Europe have been hit. No fans, broadcast rebates, in some places sponsorship rebates as well. So COVID has had a dramatic effect on club finances, and UEFA has acknowledged this and realises that the normal rules can't really apply. It wouldn't be fair. So they've effectively taken last season, 2019-20, and this season that we're in, 2020-21, and turned them into one season.
Okay, so based on that, what does Chelsea's financial situation currently look like?
So, the club did make a big loss, reported in December 2019, and of course, they have bought all of these new players, but they also got rid of some high earners, Hazard, Willian and Pedro, and of course, their commercial income was pretty high too, and actually rose during their last accounting period.
Yes, but coronavirus, Joe. Coronavirus.
Yeah.
Chelsea's matchday income for their last accounting period was £65 million.
True.
And no fans in stadiums since the restart. A lot of those signings, the decisions were made when everyone was assuming that fans would be back by October. And they're not.
That is true. However, here's Matt Slater again to explain why Chelsea might be a little bit better off than some other clubs.
Chelsea have got a few things going for them. And one is sort of a general thing that they've been really good at over the last 5-6 years. They're great at selling players. They certainly buy a lot of players and they certainly sack a lot of managers. Those are 2 big costs for them. They buy as many players as Man City or Man United, but they're really good at selling. You know, they're good at selling at the top end of the market. So really big sales like Eden Hazard, Alvaro Morata, Diego Costa, Oscar going back a few years. They bring in the big sales, but they're also quite good at selling players they don't really need anymore. They've got amazing turnover in their sort of academy and their youth system, and of course they're quite famous for bringing in lots of players, getting them out on loan. So they're very good at player trading. But Chelsea, as I say, would probably going to be okay. I mean, they're good at this. They are quite good at FFP, and as I said, really good at player trading. They were probably budgeting to make a manageable loss that would have fallen within the break-even requirement.
So how is this actually going to end? Because it sounds like Chelsea are fine in FFP land.
We don't know, because we don't know what FFP land actually is anymore.
Also, different supporters across Europe will be affected differently, right? I mean, unemployment benefits and welfare payments will be wildly different. So fans in some countries will have less disposable income than others. Some might even have none at all, i.e. no money to spend on football, right?
And governments, broadcasters, regional sponsorship markets. If nobody can really quantify what the impact of coronavirus actually is yet, and the long-term trends may even take years to reveal themselves, Chelsea aside, how can UEFA punish clubs for any breaches?
This is going to be a massive headache for UEFA. If you just think about it in terms of, we are not all coming out of COVID at the same time. The recovery from COVID is not evenly distributed, even within countries. So at the moment, for example, in Germany, where there are fans back in stadiums, but it tends to be more in northern Germany. The further south you are, the closer you are to, let's say, to Italy, the fewer fans you're allowed in. So already there is a kind of 2-speed, maybe 3-speed recovery from COVID. Well, that's going to have an impact on the bottom line at clubs. And then I think the other thing just coming out of the transfer window is, for a lot of clubs, particularly in France, Italy, Spain, to a lesser extent Germany, player trading is absolutely essential to them. They do really well out of selling players to the Premier League. The Premier League are the big shoppers that they have been for most transfer windows, and this window it was so stark, the difference. And again, that's because of the security the Premier League clubs have from their fantastic television deals. So when everyone is hurting from match day not being there, the Premier League clubs are hurting a little less, certainly in terms of relatively speaking. France did not resume. They did not finish 2019-20. So there was a big broadcast and sponsor rebate, and they are struggling with their new TV deal there. Likewise, Belgium, the Netherlands, Spain is struggling. Italy is struggling. So already, I think if you have that idea that the recovery, we have no idea when things are going to be back to normal. I think we've all taken a blow in terms of our confidence. It was looking great in the summer, and now not so good. It looks like it's going to be perhaps a second lockdown here, perhaps a second national lockdown. Other countries are debating exactly the same issues. Again, looking through very English sort of glasses, sponsorships have held up so far. Broadcast figures have held up. But, another year of this, another 18 months of this, we don't know.
So, how does FFP actually recover?
Basically, I think what you're saying is, how does something which already looked weak as a result of the Manchester City judgment recover its credibility after the pandemic?
Well, I think this is it. This is the big question for me. So I think even if COVID hadn't happened, even if we had no idea what COVID was and coronavirus was, what's that? Something from the film. We would probably be having a similar conversation. We'd be having the conversation because of Manchester City case, because of ongoing conversations around PSG or Chelsea's big spend or whatever it might be. We would be talking again about financial fair play. What is it for? Is it working? Is it fair? Is it a restraint of trade? It is. Is it a proportionate restraint of trade? Has it achieved what it set out to achieve 10 years ago? And I think it probably has. I think most people would agree that if you were trying to take down debt levels across European football, and you were really concerned about the number of clubs that weren't paying their taxes, for example, or weren't paying each other on time, FFP has worked. Has it made football more competitive? No. It's arguably made it less competitive. It has been a drawbridge. The elite clubs have done quite well out of it. And, another thing that I think that often feeds into the conversation, we've spent a lot of time talking about Newcastle as a ultimate challenger club, a Saudi-owned Newcastle. It could be anyone. It could be a Qatari-owned Leeds United. It could be, who knows, it could be a resurgent AC Milan, whatever it might be. Clubs that are on the up and aggressively want to, retain their status or get back and join the elite. FFP makes that really hard. It makes it really difficult. If you are constantly constraining clubs to break even, to only spend what they can bring in, there's always a lag. If you are restrained to only spend what you could bring in through match day, through ticketing, through your broadcast deal, which is nearly all collective bargaining, so it's shared, through your sponsorships, it's tricky. So I think financial fair play was always going to be revisited. We knew that. The elite clubs themselves have been talking about it. Has it achieved what we wanted it to achieve? Yes. Is it really working now? Doesn't appear to be, because we've just had this massive bust-up between UEFA and Manchester City. We've got ongoing issues and questions around, well, why didn't you investigate PSG? Whatever it might be, FFP has worked to a degree, but people didn't agree with all of it anyway, and that disagreement hasn't gone away. In fact, it's probably increased. And now you throw COVID in there, where, for all the reasons I was saying before, that we're going to get this patchwork, uneven recovery. It looked really difficult to police. We know how hard it is to police. We know what happens when UEFA tries to take someone on. The club will lawyer up and can often, drag it out. UEFA has only so much time and only so much resource to fight this stuff. I think they know that it needs freshening up, it needs a tweak or two, and I think what would have been a tweak or two is now going to be a tweak or 4 or 5, because we're all going to come out of this with loads of unintended consequences and things we can't even predict and imagine at the moment, and the European football is just going to look very, very different next summer. So financial fair play has to move as well.
If you're looking for holiday gifts this winter, we're pleased to be able to offer a buy one, gift one deal on subscriptions to The Athletic. It's world-class sports journalism with a roster of writers including David Ornstein, Amy Lawrence, Daniel Taylor and Ollie Kay. There's dedicated journalists for each Premier League team, bringing you all the latest news and inside information, not to mention hundreds of journalists doing the very same thing for 10 other sports. So, to buy one and gift one this December, see the link in the description, and thanks for watching today's video.